What is up, my friends? You are welcome along to today's, well, it's not really a late night agenda, is it? It's an early evening agenda. I hope that you're all well. Obviously, the reason we're streaming at 6 is I know a lot of people will want to watch the Spurs-Man City game later on, so we wanted to give you guys what we think you want, which is an earlier stream, and hopefully it works out. Right, my friends, one question in the chat I seen that I just got to answer is somebody asked, why didn't Craig travel from Rosslare to Pembroke, shorter to Cardiff, said Paul Baker. Did look at it, Paul, but the way it's going, mate, we go Holyhead, Cardiff, Cardiff, Liverpool, and Liverpool back to Holyhead. So there was going to have to be one long leg on the trip, and I wanted to get it out of the way earlier. So we did the longer drive for the first part, meaning when we're in Holyhead, or we're in Liverpool, shorter trip back to Holyhead. But I do appreciate you looking out, mate, and yeah, well in. So, how are we? We good? Appreciate you, Yusuf. Lovely comment, mate. Thank you. So, yeah, how are we feeling after yesterday? I'm still a little bit frustrated by it all, to be honest with you, but it kind of is what it is. One more game to go. One more game on the Jurgen. Things are starting to become a bit clearer on the slot front, and I'll talk about that in a while. There's been some talk of an offer for Rodrygo that's apparently been rejected, but we'll talk you through why we don't think there's much credence to that. We'll talk about Khéphren Thuram and how he's available for a cut down price. We will of course speak about Tane Coop Miners, and also I want to just highlight a good piece that the Echo did, where they basically looked at all Liverpool's 20 players who've been on loan this season and asked what will happen next for them. So we're going to cover through that as well. Am I wearing white for Spurs? No, just wearing white because it's clean. It's probably one of the reasons. It's too hot today for a hoodie, so I decided I'd go in a white t-shirt today. Why would Rodrygo come to us? I love how much you love your own club there, mate. Why would anybody come to us, sure? We're only Liverpool. No, look, I'm not trying to say he's coming. There's a piece in Spain that speaks about Liverpool having had a bid rejected, and we'll talk about it. But Rodrygo nearly did join us when he was at Santos, only he held off a little bit. Then Real Madrid came in and he went there. I guess the only reason you could probably see Rodrygo leaving Real Madrid is if they need to free up some money or cash in on somebody, because it's going to be very hard for Carlo Ancelotti to keep all of those guys happy, you know, with the attacking options they're going to have there. Endrick, Mbappe, Bellingham, Rodrygo, Vinny Jr., Valverde, and the list will go on. So, again, it's not me that's making the story, mate. I just report the news. Lorcan, thank you, mate, for gifting a membership. Appreciate you. That's gone to Ryan O'Connell as well. Thank you, Lorcan. Really do appreciate that. Am I doing a City watch along? I am not. Absolutely no. There's no relevance to it to us, so there's no need for me to do one. Like, if we were still in a title race, I probably would have, but I try to avoid watching Manchester City wherever possible, mate, especially on the channel. So no, I'll probably have the game on in the background here at home, but I'll be working away while the game's on, just keeping an eye on it. Certainly hope for Arsenal that Spurs can do them a favour, but look, we know only too well as Liverpool fans the heartache of having to sit there and hope for someone to do you a favour and Man City just grinding out wins. It's a very helpless position, and I certainly have sympathy for Arsenal fans. We wanted Thuram before Gravenberch, said Tav. Well, I will talk about that as well. So let's see, what will we start off with? Let's start off with the news around Arne Slot, actually, because I think that's quite relevant to most of the conversations we'll be having today. So we reported to you guys yesterday, I think it was, or the day before, that the Mirror said that there was one thing that was delaying the unveiling and the announcement of Arne Slot becoming the next Liverpool coach, and that was his assistant Sipke Hulshoff, who was part of the Netherlands coaching team and was supposed to be the number 2 to Ronald Koeman for the Euros with the Dutch national team. Well, that has now been solved. So this piece says Arne Slot has seemingly just moved a step closer to being officially announced as Jurgen Klopp's successor at Liverpool after Sipke Hulshoff resigned from his role with the Netherlands. Hulshoff currently serves as Slot's assistant at Feyenoord, but holds a dual role, splitting his time between the Dutch club and the Netherlands national team, where he also acts as Ronald Koeman's deputy. So he has resigned from that role, meaning he will now be free to come and be the number 2 to Arne Slot at Liverpool. So that was one of the barriers that was holding up this official announcement. That's been resolved, so we should expect to see some news on Slot relatively soon, I would imagine. I mean, at this point, you couldn't rule out the day after the season finishes, you know. Let Klopp have his farewell, let Slot have his farewell, and then make the announcement early next week, perhaps. Am I excited to see your new favourite Liverpool kit at the weekend? Yeah, delighted. Look, they usually do look better on the players than on a fat slob like me, to be fair. And they usually do look better in person than the leaked images online. That being said, I'm not holding out much hope that I love the kit. You know, I have to admit though, with the Minecraft kit, I didn't like that at first, but over the course of the season, I actually grew to really like that kit as a whole kit with the black shorts and stuff. I think it worked well. Hi Craig, new subscriber. Charles, thank you mate for subscribing to the channel. Really appreciate your support, my friend. So yeah, again, loads to get through. I'm going to start off then, as I said, I've done the Hulshoff thing. I want to speak a little bit about Pep Lijnders and then we'll get into the transfer talk. So Paul Joyce reported earlier on that Pep Lijnders is wanted by Red Bull Salzburg as their new head coach. And I can completely see why. You know, Liverpool have always looked at the Red Bull system, how they train, how they coach, how that they own multiple clubs. And it's no surprise to me that they would look at the likes of Pep Lijnders and feel that putting him into the Red Bull brand of clubs is a good choice, and I think it would be a great fit. So let's wait and see if that comes to fruition. But Paul Joyce reporting that Red Bull Salzburg wants to bring in Pep Lijnders as their head coach. A little bit of a shout out as well. They're not sponsors, but they're friends of ours and they're helping collaborate with us on our new back-end system that we're having built. So gotta give a shout out to our friends at Lineup Builder. If you ever do want to make a lineup for a Liverpool game, look no further than our friends at Lineup Builder. They even have an Anfield Agenda section on there where you can do your Anfield Agenda Liverpool prediction team. Scan that QR code or use the link in the description of the stream. Lineup Builder. Really, really great team, great bunch of guys, and it's been lovely getting to know the guys over the last few months and working hand in hand with them on the project that we are. So shout out to Lineup Builder. Am I happy with the Adrian news? Yeah, I am. I can't deny it. I am. For those of you who don't know what I'm speaking about, Adrian San Miguel has confirmed that in the summer he will look to return to La Liga and, you know, have the latter part of his career back in Spain. And I'm not going to cheer about it, but it feels like it's the right move. So look, let's get into the talk about transfers, because let's be honest, we all love a bit of transfer talk. Rodrygo, €120 million offer is the headline of this piece, and it said Liverpool reportedly seen an offer of £120 million rejected by Real Madrid for Rodrygo. Now, this was being spoken about on that, how do I say it? Very cringy, cheesy, Real Madrid-centric, bum-licking, Perez-adoring channel called Chingarito. And they said that the bidding club is Liverpool and the player is a player very similar to their style. We're talking about Real Madrid winger, and it's Rodrygo. Real Madrid's refusal is emphatic because the board likes him a lot. And the piece says that Liverpool had a €120 million offer rejected for the Brazilian international. I don't know if there is any truth to that whatsoever, but how do I say this without getting myself in trouble? Of all the transfer speculation that I read up on, the country that I believe tells the biggest porcupines as the Spanish media. The amount of times that they like to try and portray strength of the club that they're behind, because the Spanish media is often split. You'll get Marca as an example being very Madrid friendly. So in this case, I would view this as, look how strong Real Madrid are, yes, we might be bringing in some new players, but we can still push away the might and the financial pressure coming from the Premier League. I like to think that I actually do think that half the time this shit's made up. Really, I don't understand it, because for the amount of links they tried to put out over the years to say, oh, Liverpool have been after a Barca player, it never comes to fruition. And I've never seen it backed up. So for me, I would certainly put this Rodrygo story on a certain island off the coast of the Mediterranean. And look, I'd love it. I do like Rodrygo. Great player. Would welcome at Liverpool in a heartbeat, especially if we lost Mohamed Salah. No problem. But I just don't believe that offer went in and was rejected. Because a couple of things would have to happen. You don't go to the club, first of all, and make the offer. Let's not be naive about this. If you're looking for a player, you start off by tapping up the agent. And you start, whispering, what's the situation there with Rodrygo? Is he happy at Madrid? Is he going to get enough game time? Would he be open to a move? If he was open to a move, remember, we've had long-held interest in him. That's the type of stuff you'd be going on about. I don't believe it. But I had to bring it to you because it was reported, and he was somebody who Liverpool have been long linked with. We nearly signed him for €3 million when he was at Santos. We've spoken about this story before. He decided to stay at Santos and then ended up going to Real Madrid. So, yeah, I'm not believing it. Thuram for 15 million is insanity, said Nick. Well, that actually does have some credence to it, mate. And we'll talk about that in a sec. Let me just get to this super chat. Thoughts on Fabio's future under Slot, go or stay? Well, I'm going to go through all of Liverpool's loanees. And again, I want to credit the Echo for that, because they did a great piece where they gave a little recap of every Liverpool loanee player, and Carvalho was part of that. My thoughts are that he'll get a look in pre-season, but ultimately I feel like if the right offer comes in, he may be sold. But we'll talk about that in more detail in a little bit. So let's talk about Khéphren Thuram. So Nice Matin, who've posted a lot about Khéphren Thuram over the last couple of seasons. This piece says, Nice midfielder Khéphren Thuram is available for just €15 million, which is just under £13 million this summer. Liverpool were linked with the player last year. He's now 23 years of age. And last year, you might remember, the lady who, Rafaela Pimenta, was his agent, is his agent. And there was a picture last year of Rafaela Pimenta sitting at the Nice offices, and there was loads of talk that Liverpool were going to move for Khéphren Thuram. In the end, we didn't, but Nice are said to be now willing to take just €15 million a year on, where Liverpool were quoted over €35 million last summer. So if the interest is still there, it looks like €15 million is a bargain. I've got to say it, lads. It's a bargain. Whether you think we need him or not, or he's good enough or not, that's open to debate. But if that price is correct, somebody would get a very good player for €15 million. And that, to me, I'll be interested to see if we do revisit this. Marcus, thank you for your super chat, my friend. Said, it's so heartbreaking when Klopp leaves. I'm now 22. I'm now 22 when he came to Anfield when I was only 13 years old. So he's basically been a part of almost half my life. It's weird to say, but he has been a safety net for me in my life. I get it, mate, I get it. I will never judge anybody who talks about football forming a huge part of their identity, their life, their emotions. It's going to be strange, mate. It's going to be very, very strange. Like, I'm 42. And like, I've seen Liverpool managers come and go, but it doesn't make this any easier to say goodbye, because he's a special man and it was a special time. And I'm sick of people trying to undermine, and not our fans, but I'm sick of others trying to undermine quite what he achieved here. You know, with a net spend much smaller than anybody else in the top six, he has delivered a title, a European Cup, 2 more Champions League finals, 2 League Cups, an FA Cup, a Super Club, a Super Cup, a Club World Cup, and a Europa League final where we lost. It's incredible. And we've been in the Champions League all but one season. That's huge. And his stature is secure with us. I don't like some other people trying to undermine him, mate. I think it's petty, to be honest. Russell said, we need a DM who can also play right back as well. Otherwise, it's a waste of money. It depends what way the system goes with Slot, Russell. You are right in that the way he plays also was similar to the way Jurgen plays, in that the right back or a full back tucks inside. But we don't know what he has in mind for us, and whether we'll see a 4-3-3 or whether we'll see that 4-2-3-1. But I do think a 15 million euro is worth a punt. Even if it's just to fill out that area of the pitch with Thiago departing. The money from Thiago's wages, ironically, would pretty much 1 year of his wages would almost cover this transfer fee. In fact, I think it would cover the transfer fee. I know we're talking about Thuram, but what do I think of Kudus? Very, very good player. And we spoke about him yesterday. There was an 85 million price tag because that's apparently what his buyout clause is. Now, there's been some conjecture about whether that buyout clause is this summer or whether it only comes into effect next summer. For me, the way David Ornstein has spoken about the clause for him and Paqueta, I certainly, and he didn't spell it out, but I certainly got the impression that it was available this summer. Would you pay 85 million quid for him? It depends. I don't doubt the player, but let's say, for instance, the club gives Salah a new deal. Then I don't know if I think 85 million quid needs to be spent in that wide area. Certainly do think whatever happens, we need another wide player. But unless we brought in a lot of money, that would be a big amount of money to spend to fill one position. And I only say that because, and here it comes, our owners are cheap. Not because I think you're wrong or because I don't think he's good enough. Is Nice struggling to comply with FFP? Why would they let a player go for so little? I truly am not sure. I don't know their club's finances, mate. Haven't got a Scooby-Doo. It might be a contractual situation. It might be, as you said, something Nice are struggling with FFP. I don't know. But let's wait and see what happens. Alfie said Rodrygo would be an ideal Salah replacement. He would. Absolutely. I love Rodrygo. I think he'd be brilliant. And I would pay that 120 million euro in a heartbeat for Rodrygo. I think he'd be worth every penny of it if he was on the table as a genuine option. I would. No problem. I agree with you 100%. He would be a great replacement. At least FSG tarted up Anfield. Yeah, they did. They did. But they'll also see the benefit of that in the long term when they sell. But that doesn't make any difference. It's still a good thing. Doesn't he play on the other side? Are we talking about Kudus? If we're talking about Kudus, then yes, Kudus plays for West Ham on the left side. But again, I say this so many times, when we're talking about wide players, I think we fixate too much on where they play at one club, because there's so many instances of wide players switching sides. I mean, look no further than Mane moving to the left when Salah came in. So yes, while Kudus may play on the left side for West Ham, it doesn't mean he can't come in and operate in the right side for us if need be. Is there any news on Barella or Coop Miners? Nothing on Barella, yes on Coop Miners. So Tudor Sport have made a suggestion that Liverpool are still in for Coop Miners. So this says, the Dutch midfielder has long been linked with a move to Merseyside and is again being tipped to head to Liverpool during the transfer window. A report by Tudor Sport has suggested that the Reds are keen on a deal and would have no problem paying the 60 million euro that Atalanta would want. And he previously worked with Arne Slot at AZ Alkmaar. For me, I don't know on this one, to be honest. It's more a case of I don't know if he's the profile of player we need, rather than, like, he's a good footballer. I'm not trying to say Coop Miners isn't good enough for the Premier League or anything like that. I just don't know. What is he now? 26, 60 million. Again, it makes me nervous if you're talking about somebody who's already worked with Arne Slot. I mean, I'm okay with that to some extent, but I don't want to go over the top with it. Yeah, I feel like, again, there would probably be better ways to spend the money if we're talking about dropping about 52, 53 million pound. Russell said, we need to buy players who can fit the system and not just anyone who's cheap, otherwise the team won't progress. We need players who can press and are strong on the ball, especially for slot system. I would agree with everything you've written, Russell. I would add a little bit to it, mate, to say we need young, we need fit, we need energetic, we need robust. Because Arne Slot's system, much like Klopp's, asks a lot of work from his players. So burnout could very well be a thing. And this is why I think it is time to start looking to those 20, 21, 22, 23-year-old players with bundles of energy and athleticism, for the reasons Russell pointed out and more. So that's another reason why I think, again, Coop Miners, nah. But on Thuram, Russell, I still think, dude, at 15 million, you know, let's say you were to move on. I mean, let me say this to you. I'd sell Curtis Jones tomorrow to bring in Khéphren Thuram. You know, I think that would be a better fit in our squad. And I know people may still stick up for Curtis, but to me, there's not been enough of the good stuff to justify more years. I think now is the time to be ruthless. Costas, I'd move on. Curtis, if an offer came in, I would personally sell. Salah, you know my thoughts on. Diaz, happy to keep Diaz if he's happy to stay. But again, I want more end product from him. Darwin, we've all spoken enough about that situation. Oh, and on Darwin, I'm not going to go into a rant again, don't worry. But did you see that Sky changed the post? You know the post that I got angry about last night? The one that said on Sky's official live feed that Darwin Núñez was born offside? Yeah, well, they changed it today. Don't see an apology anywhere. Maybe I've missed it. But they changed it. Which is a shithouse thing to do without an apology, in my opinion. But there you go. This is why I talk about hypocrisy a lot. Because they judge us. Do you know what? I remember when the situation happened with Claude. May he rest in peace. And I remember reading an article on Sky about it. And I just felt like this was a very petty, vengeful piece about clearly a guy involved with a channel that they didn't seem to like at that time. And I remember the standards at which he was held to and the way that he was thrown under a bus for a mistake. No doubt a mistake. And that's always stuck with me. So when I start seeing them talk about hypocrisy of removing hate and report it if you see it and stamp it out and all the other stuff that are genuinely great causes, you got to practice what you preach. And saying things about Darwin Núñez being born offside in a week where it's been widely reported that Darwin Núñez had received disgusting hate and threatening messages, it's only going to just make people feel like, well, if a broadcaster the size of Sky feel okay posting these things, surely me, a nobody, a fella on Twitter or a girl on Instagram or whatever, surely I can do it. They need to set the tone. They need to lead by example. And also, Gary Neville, the absolute state of you, pal. Did you see Neville's celebration when Villa equalised? Running around the Monday Night Football studio like Villa had just stopped Liverpool winning the league. The game had nothing on it. And Neville's running around there for what? For a hope of a viral clip? From a billion-pound broadcaster? The same guy who was calling Chelsea the billion-pound bottle jobs, yeah, his club's about to finish behind them. The same guy who told us that Spurs were more likely to win the league than Liverpool or Arsenal at one point. And there he is running around celebrating an equaliser in a fairly meaningless game. Absolute state of it. Steve Klopp is filming his goodbye at the minute, standing in the Kop on his own. God, that's going to be a sad video. That's going to be a sad video, honestly. Craig, do you keep seeing the Anthony Gordon nonsense? I do. And look, it's not going to happen. I don't know where they got the story from, but two different outlets have ran with it. I think the first one was the Daily Express, and then I think it was in the Mirror after that. But yeah, look, 100 million quid. No. We did a poll yesterday, and I think 83% of you guys said, no way would you pay 100 million quid for Anthony Gordon. As great as Klopp was, unfortunately, he didn't find enough consistency since winning the Premier League. I think we all have our own thoughts as to why we maybe didn't see a little bit more success. My thoughts are purely that the owners didn't spend enough. But then again, I don't know the conversations. But I can say this. I've enjoyed watching Jurgen lead this club. I've enjoyed the football we've played. I've enjoyed the way he's gone about his business. I've enjoyed him. It's been a pleasure. A true pleasure. We won't have always all agreed on everything with him. We never do in life. But we can disagree and still love somebody, which I know is an alien concept to some people on social media these days, but overall, you know, we're incredibly lucky to have had Jurgen at the club for 9 amazing years. Have I seen Spurs selling tickets? Yeah, I mean, Transfer Sector posted to say some Tottenham season ticket holders have sold their seats to Arsenal fans for the Manchester City game tonight. There was at least one group of Arsenal fans who planned to sit in the home end to cheer on Spurs. I don't know where to go with that, lads. I truly don't know where to go with that, if that's true. Yeah, I mean, I'm just struggling for words. Honestly, I don't know what to say. If it's true or not, I don't know. But we'll wait and see. Right, so I did say that there was a really good piece on the Echo, which I would certainly urge you to read. A lot of the stuff on the Echo I don't like, and I'll call it out. But I'm also more than happy to speak about good things and good work that other people and other content creators produce. And I really did enjoy this on the Echo. And it was a rundown of all of Liverpool's loanee players, how they got on, and what maybe we can expect to see. So let's start off with it in the order that they've written it. And I'm going to read through them, so bear with me for a moment, and then you can guys let me know what you think. So Calvin Ramsey was the first one that came up. And the piece said, Ramsey joined Liverpool amid high expectations in the summer of 2022, but his 2 loan spells this season at Preston North End and Bolton Wanderers have both been disappointing. The Scottish player has struggled to make his mark at either club, suggesting that another loan spell may be necessary before he's ready for Liverpool's first team. I think that's pretty reasonable, in all honesty. It's been unfortunate that we haven't gotten to see more of Calvin. So yeah, a loan feels about right there for a player who I certainly wouldn't be giving up on, certainly wouldn't be looking to sell, but would be hoping to see him step up and obviously put those injury concerns back behind him. The next one is Reece Williams, and it says, Williams' season has been far from successful, with the defender seeing more action for Liverpool's under-23s than his loan spell at Aberdeen. In fact, the 23-year-old rarely made it onto the bench for the Dons, indicating that he's some distance away from securing a place in Liverpool's first team. It's got to be sell. It has to be. Let's be frank. Sell him. He's not going to make it at Liverpool. If he can't get onto Aberdeen's bench, he's not going to make it at Liverpool. So for me, that's a fairly straightforward one. Sell if you can find a buyer. The next one is one that you guys will definitely be interested in, and that is Fabio Carvalho. And this said, Carvalho kicked off the season at RB Leipzig, but was primarily used as a super sub by the Bundesliga squad. After his relationship with Leipzig soured, he was shipped out to Hull, where he shone in their playoff push. Despite falling just short, the Portuguese international stands a good chance of being promoted to Liverpool's first team in the new season. So what do you guys think about Fabio Carvalho? Do you think he'll make it at Liverpool? Do you think stylistically there's a space for him at Liverpool? Because talent-wise, he has it. You know, he has the ability. You have to question. Now, of course, we say we don't know this. We don't know him. But you have to question, 1, how it didn't work at Liverpool so quickly. 2, how he fell out of favour at Leipzig. But he's done very well at Hull. So, for me, I'd like to see him looked at in pre-season by the manager. And then let Arne Slot assess whether he thinks there's going to be a place for him in the squad, or whether he thinks towards the latter part of the transfer window, maybe maybe you move him on. But I definitely believe he has earned a chance to be looked at by the new coach. I think we let Slot check him out. Fabio falls out with a lot of people, said Lukey Boy. Give him a chance, said Robbie Salmon. The lad said keep Fabio. Fabio gives me Sancho vibes, said Malcolm Billington. Give him a full season with the team, said Tav. Give him a chance. Still in two minds with Fabio, said Gary Radford. Yeah, I think most of your posts there are balanced, reasonable, and I think I agree with you all. I think he certainly deserves a chance to be looked at by the new coach. The next one up is Harvey Davies. This said, Davies spent a large part of the season as Crewe's go-to goalkeeper, but has been dropped from their squad entering the final stretch. Although Caoimhín Kelleher is expected to be sold this summer, Davies needs another season on loan before he can be considered as backup to Alisson. I don't have any arguments about that. I think they're spot on about that one. One interesting one though, and a player we've spoken about a little bit over the year, has been Owen Beck. The piece said, Owen Beck, who has been a standout performer for Dundee, is one of Liverpool's most impressive loanees. Before an injury sidelined him in March, Beck had been a regular starter for the Scottish side, scoring twice and providing 4 assists in 28 appearances, helping them secure a top half finish. With doubts over Costa's quality, Beck is a prime candidate for a first team call-up. And I totally agree on that. You know, what I've seen of Owen Beck, which is somewhat limited, he looks very good. But the references and the reports from coming from Scotland, glowing. He definitely deserves an opportunity to be looked at by the gaffer, and at the worst case scenario, alone. But if we sell Costas, who's to say Owen Beck could not step up? We've got Chambers as well as another one there. So for me, Beck, I think, yeah, give him a go. Give him a chance. Craig, I'm glad I caught your stream so I can say thank you so much for helping me out with the tickets. Hope you're having a good night. Mate, no problem. But as I said to you yesterday, people have been very kind and sent money in as donations for people who maybe can't afford to come to one of the shows. I did say to you yesterday, just reach out to me by email. You did, and as I promised, those 2 tickets were sent to you last night, and I'm looking forward to seeing you, my man. So thank you for reaching out, and again, thank you to those wonderful people who've helped us be able to help out people like our friend in the chat. So yeah, looking forward to it. Now, while we're talking about the tickets, if you would like to come and see us on our last ever 3 live shows, you can get the tickets for Belfast, which is an over 18s event, Cardiff, which is an all ages event, and Liverpool via the link that is pinned to the top of the chat. That link at the top of the chat not only gives you links to all our live tickets and their shows, it also gives you links to all of our social media accounts as well. So just click on that link and then have a look for yourself. Cardiff, you guys are showing up. Let me say that. Cardiff is showing up. Ticket sales have been really, really promising for Cardiff. I don't have an update on Liverpool yet, but I certainly know that there have been tickets sold for Liverpool. And again, thank you to everyone for the support. Tickets for Cardiff and Liverpool are priced at just £15 if you'd like to come and see us. Right, so we did Owen Beck. Now another interesting one. Sepp van den Berg. Sepp van den Berg has been one of the few bright spots in a dismal season for Mainz. They've been fighting relegation all season, with Van den Berg sitting out just 1 match. With Liverpool's defence set for a revamp this summer, he could be asked to step up. So what do we think on Sepp van den Berg? I think this summer needs to be the one where a decision is made, because he's had loans. He either gets his chance now or we cash in. And he has had very good reports from the work he's done at Mainz. I'm of the mindset that he could be our 5th defender, our 5th centre-back. I don't know if I'd be comfortable being one of the ones yet that we absolutely rely on, because don't forget we have young Jarell Kwanzaa who's still learning his trade as well. So I wouldn't mind him coming in as an extra option. All sorts of everything said. I'm hoping the new coaching staff can put a bit of urgency into their defending. Need to concede less goals this season if they are to compete. I agree. You're not going to win a league title by conceding a load of sloppy goals. You're right. Malcolm said Sepp will be sold in my opinion. Russell said, keep Sepp. Slot coached him before. Keep Sepp and play him in the cup, said Carson Watch. Mark said keep Sepp as well. Lukey Boy, keep. Keep, said Scotty. No disrespect to the guy, but he's a second tier player, said Elarm the City. Bring him back, said Colin Brooks. Give him a go, said Nick. I like it. Lots of positivity there, and I think most of us feel like he at least deserves an opportunity. Anderson Arroyo. It seems unlikely that Arroyo will ever become a regular for Liverpool. The 24-year-old has been a starter for Spanish second-tier side Burgos this season, but with Conor Bradley emerging as Trent Alexander-Arnold's top backup at right-back, a sale this summer seems possible. Again, I think we'll agree with that, right? James Balghese is next up. This season has been a letdown for Balghese, and the 20-year-old struggling to make his mark on loan at either Wigan or Kilmarnock. The midfielder has only made 13 appearances in total this term, and another loan move this summer seems to be his best bet. I'd cash in. I don't understand the need to keep so many loan players where some of them clearly are not going to make it. So unless you're looking at another loan to maybe try and increase the sale price, I feel like Arroyo and Balghese just sell, cash in, move on. Another one is Dominic Cornes. Cornes had a successful campaign in the Swiss Super League, helping the team to avoid relegation. The midfielders made 21 appearances in all competitions, though another loan move will probably be best for the 21-year-old. Again, I know nothing about that dude, so I'm going to move on from that one. To those of you coming in and asking me to recap, I will, don't worry, but at the moment I'm just doing a recap on all the loan players because the Echo did a very good piece on this, and I'd like to highlight it by just giving everyone a heads up on where some of the loan players are and how they've gotten on. So, Adam Lewis is another one. This said, Lewis had a mixed season on loan at Newport County, having several spells out of the team which endured a disappointing year in League 2. This has been the second spell at Rodney Parade, and a permanent move to an EFL team appears to be the most likely move this summer. I agree. Jacob Orginski, again, excuse my pronunciation, another young Red who's had mixed fortunes on loan, with a Polish keeper spending much of the season as a backup Dutch second-tier side Den Bosch. He will need regular game time on loan next season if he's to convince his parent club that he has a future at Anfield. The next name is a bit of a blast from the past, and one that I thought was going to make it, and that's Billy Comedio. You remember when Comedio broke through? I think he was even getting extra defensive coaching from Jurgen one-on-one, but it hasn't worked out too well over the last year or two. Comedio will be eager to put this season behind him as swiftly as possible. Initially, he was loaned out to Dunkirk, but a disagreement led to his return to Anfield. The defender was then dispatched to Blackburn Rovers, but he didn't manage to make an appearance for the Championship side. It's unlikely Slot will call him up this summer. Anybody disagree with that? I don't think we really can. Lewis Houston, 19-year-old, has had a successful season at Stalybridge Celtic. The non-league side were so impressed that they extended his loan until January, and another move seems likely for him in the summer. James Norris, despite a challenging start to the season, Norris finished the campaign as Tranmere's starting left-back, with Rovers finishing mid-table in League 2. Another loan move would be best for the 21-year-old's development. The next one is one that you're going to want to pay attention to because it's one that we're going to have a chat about. Tyler Morton. Tyler Morton has been the star of Hull's bid for a playoff place in the Championship and seems to be the most likely to receive a call from Slot. He scored 3 goals and provided 5 assists in 41 appearances for the Tigers, as well as shining on the international stage for England's under-21s. Slot is likely looking forward to working with the young talent. I definitely feel Morton will get a look. I do. He's earned it. I don't know if he'll make it long term, and I'm 50-50 on it. But I know he's earned it. He's done well enough to deserve an opportunity to be looked at by the new coach. What they've written here about him standing out at Hull is true. He was a level above, and that's what I want for a player who goes on loan from Liverpool. If you go to a Championship or a League One club, if you want to make it at Liverpool, you should be standing out there. And he's more than done that. So I think Tyler Morton deserves the opportunity to come in and see what he can do. And I think most of you probably agree. If you could sign one realistic player, who, said Ryan. I'll come back to that in a second, mate. Let me just get through some of these comments. We definitely need a big lump as a DM, sorted and strong. Give Morton one good year and revisit. He needs to bulk up a bit, said Gary. Totally agree. Move these players on. If they can't make it in the lower division, what's the point in keeping them? Get the wages off the bill, said Stephen. Scotty said Tyler Morton looks a good player. Tommy Hoare said he's on the list, but isn't Thuram more of an 8? What position is Tyler Morton? I would think of him as a natural 6, but he can, like by Chechich, he can play as a 6 or an 8. What else we got? Excuse me, Malcolm said, I would cash in on Morton as I cannot see him being part of Slot's plans. I don't know. I think he'll get a look, you know. I really do think Tyler Morton will get an opportunity because he's been impressive at Hull. Nat Phillips is the next one. And don't worry, we're almost through them all. Nat Phillips is the next one. After a tough stint at Celtic, Nat Phillips has found success at Preston. He's made 18 appearances for Preston North End and has proven to be a reliable senior option. However, with his contract expiring in 12 months and the Englishman keen to get more game time, it might be the right time to sell. It is the right time to sell. There's no might be about it. It is. For his good. He deserves to go and settle down and play somewhere. So for me, no brainer. Nat Phillips would be an asset to many clubs. I just don't think he's good enough for us. He's had some good moments and really helped us out, but ultimately I think he deserves to go and be a centre back to play his week in and week out somewhere. And to me, a move for Nat seems fair. Lucas Stevenson. Stevenson proved to be a valuable asset for Barrow this season. Despite not contributing any goals or assists, his team narrowly missed out in the playoffs in the third tier, and another loan move would likely be the best option. Viroslav Yaros. Should Kelleher leave this summer, Yaros is the prime candidate to fill his shoes. The Czech player has made a name for himself with Sturm Graz in the Austrian Bundesliga, clinching the cup and aiding them to the top of the league going into the playoffs. And I agree. There was glowing references from his time at St. Patrick's Athletic here in Ireland as well. And I think Yaros is certainly on that way to eventually becoming our number 2 at the very least. High hopes for him. And the last one on this list is a very, very interesting one. And then we've gone through all the 20. Luke Chambers. Luke Chambers was wanted by Xabi Alonso at Leverkusen at one point. That's how highly he was thought of. Chambers has a golden opportunity to break into Liverpool's first team during pre-season after an impressive stint at Wigan in the latter half of the campaign. He spent the first half of the year at Anfield making several appearances in the Europa League. However, another loan might be the best course of action for him. He's close to me. If it is another loan, then I do think we'll see him at Liverpool the following year. I like Chambers, and I think he has a good future ahead of him. So that is the summary of every one of Liverpool's loanees that have been out and about this season. And again, credit to the Echo for the piece. It's there if you want to read it in your own time as well. Go have a look at it. But that's basically where we're at with that. So I want to get back to the comment I promised, which is if I could sign one realistic player, who? I don't know what realistic is, mate, but I'm going to go for Nico Williams. Nico Williams or Kudus. I think they're realistic. Centre-back, there's so many good options at centre-back that honestly I feel they'll make the right decision. But if realistic, Nico Williams had a buyout clause of 55 million seems realistic. And I think he's a really exciting talent. Yet again, though, you're talking about a player who plays predominantly on the left side for Athletic Club Bilbao, but can operate on the right as well. But really a good talent. Barcelona looking at him as well, so they may make a move if they can free up the cash. I'd rather see Chambers stay and sell Costas, said Alex. 50 million for Nico, said Satori. Let's go for Bayer Leverkusen, German striker. They ain't selling. Not for one more year. They'll sell one player, one of their big-ish players, to generate funds to reinvest. But there's already a queue of clubs that are hovering around. Real Madrid want Wirtz in 2025. Bayern want Wirtz in 2025. So I don't think Leverkusen are going to sell anyone they don't want to sell this summer. What else we got? Thuram would be good as a holding midfielder with Macca next to him, said Stephen. Look, for me, the Thuram thing is more about if you're really talking about 15 million euro. And for those coming in late, I'll read out what we were talking about at the start. Nice midfielder Khéphren Thuram could be available this summer for just 15 million euro. Liverpool were heavily linked for the Frenchman this time last year, and Nice were looking for over £30 million back then, but now, according to reports, he's available for just 15 million euro, which is just under £13 million this summer. The Rodrygo part, for those coming in late, I'm going to read it out exactly as it's written. Liverpool reportedly saw an offer worth 120 million euro or £103 million rejected for Real Madrid winger Rodrygo. The Reds admired the 23-year-old during his Santos days, though the player has since revealed he rejected the chance to move to Anfield in a deal worth €3 million. Shedding light on fresh interest, Eduardo Inda told Spanish show El Chingrito, or El Chingarito, however the hell you spell that or pronounce it, the bidding club is Liverpool and the player is a player very similar to their style. We are talking about a Real Madrid winger and it is Rodrygo. Real Madrid's refusal is emphatic because the board likes him a lot. There is one question to ask here though, and I mentioned it earlier. Can Carlo Ancelotti keep all these players happy? I know winning stuff keeps players happy, but there's only so many attackers you're going to get on that pitch. And when you have Vini Jr., Rodrygo, Bellingham, probably Mbappe, Endrick, Valverde, who can operate midfield and in attack, Brahim Diaz, something there surely has got to give. And if there's any world where he's available, and I severely doubt it, I would like us to be at the table. But it doesn't strike me as something I would expect from Michael Edwards. But, you know, as I say, I don't write these stories. I just bring them in for a conversation and we discuss them. What do you think of Watkins to start as our 9? I think, one, he's very, very good. Mostly, though, no chance in hell of getting him out of Aston Villa. And Villa are probably tonight actually going to confirm their place in next season's Champions League. So I think we missed the opportunity there. A season, maybe 2 seasons ago, was a prime chance to maybe look at bringing in Ollie Watkins. Now, nah, no chance. As a player, brilliant. Would very, very much fit in our system. But I think that ship has sailed. Madrid are about to hit FFP, need to sell. I was only wondering about that. I have a theory about Real Madrid. And it's just a theory based off my own thoughts. So, the Super League, that's still hovering around in the background. And as we know, there's a few clubs still really pushing it. And the prime candidates are Barcelona and Real Madrid that are still pushing the Super League. My theory, which is based off nothing in reality other than my head, is that Real Madrid are stacking the deck with some of the world's best players, as if to say to UEFA, what you going to do without a Bellingham, an Mbappe, a Rodrygo, a Vinicius Jr., a Camavinga, a Tchouaméni? What are you going to do if you ban these players from your competitions and they're in the Super League? Where do you think the eyes of the world are going to go? I reckon they're stacking the deck for that showdown, as well as, of course, bringing in great players. But I can't shake this feeling that it's preparing themselves for a showdown with UEFA over the whole Super League thing. And them saying, well, we've got a lot of the big stars. We've got a lot of the here and now global superstars. Who do you think the broadcasters are going to follow? Who do you think the fans are going to follow? Who do you think social media is going to follow? That's my theory. no one cares about Mbappe, to be honest. Come on now. We might not, but to say nobody cares about Kylian Mbappe, I think it's just silliness. You know, it is. You've got Madrid potentially about to win the European Cup again. They've won another La Liga. The odds are that one of their players are probably going to win a Ballon d'Or. Bellingham has already won a L'Oreal award. I don't know. It's just a theory, as I said, but let's see how it plays out. Craig, this small number of stars will be playing in a tiny league. Well, as I said, let's wait and see. And that's before we spoke about Barcelona's players either, by the way. You've got to say, though, if you were at Real Madrid and you were negotiating or you were fighting your corner, it's a pretty strong hand to play. Can we use the 100 million for Rodrygo and Isak, please? In a heartbeat, Tony, man. I'd love Alexander Isak at Liverpool. So how do you guys feel about last night, by the way? Because I know people are right to say, look, Craig, it's a nothing game. You know, 3-3, nothing game. But my mindset is this. As a top sports person, I find it tough to swallow. Ironically, because I don't find a lot of stuff to swallow. But you can't just flick things on and off like a switch. You do the right things all the time and it becomes habit. And yesterday, capitulating again like we did. You know when a team goes into a bad spell of form and they fall down the league table and people talk about mentality and the snowball effect and all this other stuff. This is what I'm getting at. You can't just switch it on and off. There's a reason why PSG have never won the Champions League. And it's because they half-arse around the French league, win it at a canter, and then when they get real challenges, real clubs that are drilled well, not real clubs, that's disrespectful to French teams, but high-level clubs that are drilled well defensively, that can soak up their pressure, deal with their superstars, they negate them. And I feel the same way about players. You play your best every week. You give 100% every week. You do the right things every week because it's a habit. Winning is a habit. It's a mindset. And it's a goddamn good mindset to be in. So when I see things like last night, it concerns me because pride should be enough to stop those things happening. And you can't just switch it on and off like a light switch. So that's why I get annoyed about these type of results last night. Very poor defence last night, said Nicola. I think the squad needs more depth, especially if we can't beat Aston Villa. Well, we did. We beat Villa 3-0. And last night we drew 3-3. And look, you've got to credit Villa for showing great guts to come back into the game and, you know, force the draw. You've got to give your opponents credit as well. But you've seen that it fell apart after the changes. 75 minutes, we're 3-1 up. We make changes, and then in the space of, 85 seconds? It's 3-3. Now, I don't mean 85 seconds after the substitutions. I mean 85 seconds between the goals. Unacceptable. And this is what I keep saying about Van Dijk. What is he leading? A leader doesn't let that happen. And it's not happened to us once. It's happened to us multiple times. And it bugs me. It bugs me because it shouldn't happen. Pride should stop it happening. We have to give Villa credit. They fought till the end. They did get some luck, but they've had a great season. Look, mate, I've said it all the way through. I have the height of respect for Aston Villa, for Unai Emery, and I think they deserve a Champions League place. It's not about Villa, and they do deserve their credit. But we have to look at it from our side. Capitulated against United, capitulated against United again, capitulated against Everton, capitulated against Palace. And last night, from a 3-1 position where we were comfortable, we make changes and all of a sudden we don't know what we're doing. We look a completely different outfit. What would be your ideal striker signing? Said Katie. I do like what the chat have suggested in Isak. I think Isak's brilliant. Yes, there's injury concerns there. I mean, if we're being really honest, it seems like there's almost a dearth of real number nines around. Everybody seems to be struggling for a number nine. You've seen Spurs have to sell Harry Kane to Bayern because Bayern were struggling for one to replace Lewandowski. You know, you see Liverpool now, we're struggling without Darwin, doing prolific numbers. It's a hard one to get, so they're going to be valuable. But there are also going to be occasions this summer where clubs are going to have to make some unpalatable financial decisions because of the ramifications of PSR or FFP. So I hope Liverpool capitalise on their position this summer of being in a good place to pounce. We don't have FFP concerns. We have a good bit of wiggle room. So I hope that we can leverage that in our favour. And again, it's easy for us to sit here and guess, but we need the action in the market and we need the right signings. Also, if you haven't already, please do hit the like button for me. Really do appreciate all of you dropping in. Yeah, just been sent that image of Klopp filming his goodbye on the Kop. I'm already don't want to look at it. It's already making me sad. Well, Chelsea are screwed then. Have you not seen the latest with them, mate? There was a post the other day that said that they're still waiting approval on selling their training ground to themselves. So, you know the story about the hotel being sold from Chelsea to a Chelsea owner or executive or another company close to Chelsea. Now there's talk of the training ground being sold for £150 million to another Chelsea company or to another company owned by the owners of Chelsea. I mean, it's dodgy to say the least. And whether it's legal or not, it stinks. It stinks. I don't know if I have it in my notes here. Yeah, here we go. So it was posted and it says, Chelsea have now attempted to sell or have actually sold their Cobham training ground to themselves as an inter-group sale or intra-group sale. Their lawyers applied to register this dealing in early February after the window slammed shut. So Chelsea's 23-24 PSR confidence appears to be based on this intra-group accounting profit to outweigh the expected £200 million operating loss. Then they pose some questions. Has it been approved by the Premier League? Is there really over 100 to 150 million fair market value profit to be had from Cobham? And was this properly validly held anyway, because Chelsea's training ground or Chelsea Training Ground Limited was dissolved in 2015, giving rise to a potential bona vacantia issue. I don't know what that is, lads. You're going to have to help me there. And then there's other sales too. So, lads, nobody can tell me that doesn't stink. You know, if they're doing these things, whether they're legal or not, it stinks. It stinks. And I'm kind of sick of Todd Bowley finding these loopholes. Like, £1 billion and somehow they still haven't been falling afoul of FFP. And I know that they recoup money from selling players and stuff, but even that stunk, because look where the players are being sold to. Friendly Saudi Arabian clubs who, to the best of my understanding, the PIF have an investment somewhere in Clear Lake Capital, I think it might be, or have, and look, they have investments all over the world, right, spread around, but the whole Bowley stuff has stunk, whether it be the extended contracts or the way he's amortized players over 7 years, 8 years, it stinks. And if these loopholes are being exploited, again, football just looks grubby and toothless. We only have 3 world-class players right now. Can I say something to push back on that, Kabir? Borussia Dortmund are in a Champions League final. And let's be honest, when you're talking world class, look through that Dortmund team and tell me it's filled with 7 or 8 world class players. You don't necessarily need to have a team of world class players. You need to have the right team with the right attitude to fit the system, to work as a unit, to understand what the manager wants from them. And you need that hunger and desire. So yes, some world-class players are handy. But again, there's been many teams who fill themselves with world-class players. Look at PSG. Didn't win a Champions League with Mbappe, Neymar and Messi. So it's not always the right way. It's getting the right players for the system. And a good system and a well-coached team can very often outdo a team of superstars. So, yeah, it's about a mix for me. Am I watching City Spurs? I've got some work to do, but I'll probably have it on in the background. I have some work to go through and a few bits to sort out. But other than that, I probably will have it on in the background, yes. I'm just checking my notes to see if there's anything else I've forgotten about. See, today, United announced that Raphael Varane will be leaving in the summer. So, United are going to have to go out there and find some signings as well. We also spoke earlier on about Pep Linders being wanted by Red Bull Salzburg as their new head coach. So, let's see what happens there. I think that would be a great move for Pep Linders and for Salzburg. That's fair. I appreciate your insight. Thank you, Kabir. And I love these conversations, mate. I know people think I'm a hothead, but I usually only react to people in an aggressive or snarky way if they've approached the conversation in the same way. You, mate, you put in a valid shout, and I'm always open to a conversation, bro. And especially when somebody like yourself who's like, yeah, fair points. Appreciate that, mate. And that's, that goes a long way with me, so thank you. Who do you think is getting Player of the Year for the Prem? Well, I think it's a disgrace that Rodri isn't in it. Let me say that. I would give it to Foden, personally. I think it's a disgrace that Rodri's not in that final. An absolute disgrace. And I say that as somebody who categorically despises Manchester City. But, let's be fair here. To me, Rodri has been incredible for Manchester City. But yeah, I would say Foden. Do you really think there'll be a massive change in the way the team approaches games next season, Craig? Much love. Thank you, Adarsh. Tough one to know, dude, because I'm still a student here learning about Arne Slot. And we also don't know whether it'll be a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 or something maybe a bit different. So I'm expecting, and this feels weird for us to say this, I'm expecting a new manager bounce and a bright enough start. Now we have to take into account it's going to be a shortened summer because of the Copa America and the Euros, and you got to hope your players don't come back injured from there. But you know what? I'm optimistic. I'm definitely... What I don't understand is anybody who's not willing to give Slot a chance. I've seen a lot of people and a lot of forums say Brendan Rodgers 2.0, another Ten Hag. And they're Liverpool fans, by the way. If you can't at least give somebody an opportunity to succeed, what's the point? I'm critical of people. I say it as I see it, and I pull no punches a lot of the time. But a new manager coming in has my absolute 100% support. And I'm willing to give him a chance. Of course I am, and I don't get why some people aren't. Is he the biggest name in world football? Nope. But here's a great example for you. We all idolise Edwards, or at least many of us idolise Edwards. Remember, he started out working part-time for Portsmouth as a statistician. So, where somebody starts their journey doesn't mean it's where they're going to end their journey. And it's about trying to find that next great young coach. The next Guardiola, Klopp, Wenger, Ferguson. And Liverpool have identified Arne Slot as the guy that they think is the one to work in our setup at the club. Let's give him a chance. Let's get behind him and enjoy it. That's all I would say to people. Like, don't write anybody off yet. Give them a chance. Am I the only one who's happy with Klopp leaving? I'm not happy, but I do feel it's the right time. I'm very happy that it was a decision that Jurgen made, and it wasn't a decision that the club had to make, or that there was stuff that the dressing room was lost, or any of this stuff. This feels like the right way to say goodbye. Jurgen made his decision, and we give him the send-off. But it does feel like it's probably the right time for some change. Let's be honest, Craig. We have to say last night we conceded 2 goals because the gaffer got the wrong substitutes. Agenda was playing great. Yes, Charlie, I think most of us would agree with that statement. I said as much in my player ratings video last night as well. I said, actually, I'm trying to quote myself here, the biggest compliment I can give with Turo Endo was that you seen his importance when he wasn't on the pitch. And I agree. The substitutions didn't benefit us at all, and many substitutions haven't benefited us in recent times, and it is a worrying thing. Because look at the players coming on, like, they're hardly bums. You know, you're talking about bringing on Darwin Núñez, you bring on Ryan Gravenberch, Curtis Jones. They're not nobodies, like, and it did impact us negatively, and that's worrying. Can we all take a minute to appreciate what's happening at Man United? Oh, dude, I've had so much fun around the United stuff. I've decided to call Old Trafford Niagara Balls because of the falls. Somebody sent me a picture of Anthony in a canoe, and I decided that needs to be called Undeliverance. Only people who've seen Deliverance will probably get that quote and the canoe part. But God, I've so many of them. My WhatsApp's just been filled with banter about United, about the stadium. Is brilliant. It's brilliant. Welly's being sold out, all the stuff. It's great. So yeah, for me it's Niagara Balls and then Undeliverance, or lack of deliverance, I should say. Sorry, lack of deliverance from Anthony in the canoe. The one that got me, though, I told you guys about this the other day. Foxy, I don't know if you heard me on this one, but I did a little short on the whole Old Trafford stuff where I was kind of laughing at the leaky roof and all. And one of the lads in the comments, it was Prices, oh, you're laughing now, but you won't be laughing in 6 to 8 years when Old Trafford's refurbished. Oh, I will, though, yeah. I will, because you still won't have won a league title in that time. And if that's the best comeback you can have, the hypothetical improvements that haven't been signed off on or developed, or I'll revisit in 6 to 8 years and see how we're getting on. I think Klopp knows it's time, and it's just the reason he's given that he's run out of energy. Look, at this point, it doesn't matter, you know. However it got to the point where he's leaving. And Sunday's the final moment to say goodbye to Jurgen. And I've no doubt it's going to be an emotional day for everybody. For those inside the stadium, for Liverpool fans around the world, for Jurgen and his family, for the players, for the staff of the club. It is going to be an emotional day because he's meant a lot and does mean a lot to a lot of us. And I don't have many man crushes in life, or many people who I feel in awe in their presence. But I felt it with Jurgen Klopp, and he's special. He's special, man, and it's been a pleasure. So yeah, it's going to be a tough one. We will be starting really early, by the way. We're going to be going an hour and a half beforehand on Sunday, so we can, really share our thoughts in the build-up, express our gratitude to Jurgen, and then, of course, take in the game, and we'll have an extended match reaction afterwards as well. It's funny because they always get rid of the people who tell the truth. Mourinho called out poor practice at United. and wanted rid of Pogba. Ronaldo said the training ground in the stadium was a dump. Sometimes, you know, it's not easy to take criticism on board and accept it and own it and think that there's some validity to it. You know, it's not easy. I see it in the content world a lot of the time. You know, if anybody is critical of certain people, it's because they're jealous, or it couldn't be because maybe they've done something wrong, or somebody has a genuine gripe. So yeah, if United haven't been willing to look inwardly, you know, tough shit. I've got no sympathy for them. Barry, how are you, dude? I hope you're well. Thank you for your super chat. Said, I saw a freeze frame of Villa's build up to the third goal. Jones and Gravenberch holding hands 10 yards away from a Villa player, whilst the Villa player slices straight through the middle of us, sums it up. It was shocking, mate. Shocking. You could have drove an articulated lorry through our midfield yesterday for that third goal. Nowhere near good enough. And it's worrying. It's worrying. Because I said this last night and I'm going to say it again. One of those two teams last night played in Greece on Thursday, and the other one had 8 days to prepare and rest. And if anything, we should have finished that game stronger. But it was Villa who finished it stronger. And it was Villa who went to their bench for Duran, who came on and scored a brace. And again, I just say, where was our energy? Where was our fight when we had 8 days to prepare for that game? 2-1 for Craig to start crying on Sunday. Yeah, no, it's not going to happen, mate. Me and tears, it's a weird thing. I didn't even cry at my dad and mum's funeral, mate. I cry when I feel I've let people down, usually, or when I feel like I haven't done myself, my community, and my family proud. Or when I'm in a really dark place. But I won't be crying on Sunday because I don't want to see it as a bad thing. I want to see it as a celebration. I want to be grateful for the time we had. I said it so many times throughout the years when he was here. I pinched myself that Klopp was our manager. So for me, it's about celebration on Sunday. And being grateful for what we had. So yeah, I won't be crying. I can promise you that. In my opinion, we must be ruthless in the transfer market. If not, FSG deserve criticism. I trust Edwards to bring us back to where we belong. Oh, I'm ready, dude. I'm ready. I'm ready for the criticism of FSG. Say what you want, but they're cheap. And I know people bite back at me about this and all, and I do appreciate other points of view. But nobody will ever convince me that John W. Henry and FSG have not been cheap when it matters. Net spend speak volumes, and they aren't the be all and end all. But over a long enough sample size of 9 years to see the discrepancy, it's huge. Huge. And it was only because of the great work of Jurgen and the recruitment team and those people behind the scenes that we were even able to compete. Because whether you believe in net spend or not, over the course of time, it does give a good indication. And I'm about to read out again the numbers that tell this story because it disgusts me. Because we're always told about what a big club we are and how great the profits have been and how we've increased commercial revenues and all these other amazing things that FSG are supposed to have done to help. But the net spend doesn't lie and never lies, and it paints a picture again of cheap owners. Sorry, I'm still scrolling back to get my own notes here on this one. I'm nearly there. Come on, come on, come on. There we go. So, I know I've spoken about this a lot, but I want to just keep ramming this point home. This is the big six and their net spend in the last 9 years, or since Jurgen has been at Liverpool. Now, Barry, thank you so much, dude, for gifting 50 memberships before I get into this piece. Thank you, dude. That is, again, incredibly generous of you. And you've made 50 people very happy. Awesome, man. Thank you. So, big six major trophies. And this has been in Jurgen Klopp's time at Liverpool. So, the 9 years he's been here, before the end of this campaign. And this has been the net spends and what that has led to success-wise. So we'll start off with the biggest spenders first. Manchester United and Chelsea have both had a net spend. Net spend meaning after player sales and money recouped. So they've outlaid £1 billion sterling. £1 billion. Chelsea have had 6 trophies in that time and 1 Premier League title. Manchester United's return for their £1 billion outlay after sales has been 4 trophies. Next is Arsenal. Arsenal have spent net £702 million. So almost £750 million net. And they've got 2 trophies to show for that in that 9-year period. Next on the list is Manchester City. Manchester City spent £630 million net that we're aware of, and they've delivered 15 trophies, including 5 Premier League titles. Next on the list is Spurs. Spurs have spent £570 million net for, I don't know, no trophies, we know that much. And here comes Liverpool. So remember, 1 billion for United and Chelsea, 702 million for Arsenal, 630 million for Manchester City, and 570 million for Spurs. Liverpool, I am focused on Liverpool, Ben. The whole piece is about Liverpool. Liverpool have spent £346 million net and have got 7 trophies, including a league title in that, for 1/3 of the money United have spent, 1/3 of the money Chelsea have spent, less than half of what Chelsea have spent net. And Jurgen Klopp's delivered them 7 trophies. So the point I'm making is, the new manager is not Jurgen Klopp. So we need to start showing what they keep telling us. That we're a club that generates a lot of money. That we're a club that does have the ability to compete head to head financially with the likes of United. Because the numbers, they don't lie. Jurgen has had to operate with 30% of the net spend of Chelsea and United, with about 55% of what City had and less than half of Arsenal's. And that is why Jurgen Klopp is a special manager, because he's covered those deficiencies. Now, we don't have Jurgen Klopp, we have Arne Slot and a new set of guys coming back in to take care of the transfer business, and we need to act like a big club. Prediction for boxing and John's headbutt thoughts. I talked about the John Fury headbutt yesterday. One, pay attention to the size of the guy he headbutted. You know, real hard man going around headbutting someone half his size. Wasn't so quick to answer to Joe Egan when Joe was calling him out. And also, it's, to me, incredibly disrespectful to your host country to go in there and act in that manner. You know, whether it's Saudi Arabia, whether it's Ireland, whether it's America, somebody's putting up a lot of money to host a huge event that is aimed at drawing in new boxing enthusiasts, regular boxing fans, and the eyes of the world. And that isn't befitting of the situation. Alexander Usyk and Tyson Fury have been fine during this build-up. And I think we're going to have an amazing fight at the weekend, and I can't wait for it. But it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And it is not befitting of the occasion or respectful to your hosts. So what's our net spend? It's £346 million, Kabir. 346. So 1/3 of United and Arsenal's, 1/3 of United and Chelsea's, half of Arsenal's, about 60% of Spurs, and about 55% of Man City's. Says everything that the only one of the big six to vote for the new rules was us. Tie. Well, the new rules are good. I wouldn't say us voting for the new rules is a bad thing. we should have, because we can be more clever and operate more efficiently. But that still doesn't mean that the owners get a get out of jail free card for not spending. They should spend more. Liverpool's gone back to the old days of buying young cheap and selling at a profit. Those headlines are false. I don't know what you mean by those headlines. So, firstly, Jim, again, I don't write these stories, my friend. I bring them, talk about them, we discuss them. Most of us believe that the Rodrygo story is poo-poo. We certainly don't believe the Anthony Gordon 100 million interest. But we also don't know, mate, what we're going to do this summer. Like, Slot's system and the way he goes about playing needs robust, athletic, energetic players. So, leaning to a younger type of signing makes sense in that regard as well. And there's nothing wrong with going and getting a good, promising player who you can turn into, Mo Salah. Pick him up at Roma, where he's doing well, bring him over, build a team around him, coach him, and turn him into this superstar. Nothing wrong with that. But yeah, every now and again, as I say many times, every now and again you need an Alisson Becker or a Virgil van Dijk. You need to spend what you need to spend. And it has to be a mix. So for me, I'd like one or two standout signings, one or two big money signings each summer, statements for the here and now. And then, yeah, you supplement that with upcoming young players, academy players, and you try to gel it all together. But the big spending has to be a part of the whole project, in my opinion. And this leads me back to why I keep thinking we're going to sell Mohamed Salah. Because, again, that is a way for FSG to generate quite a bit of money to give to the new manager. So, again, it just makes me feel like it's the obvious way this is going to pan out. I would buy Frimpong and bring in an Arnold midfield. Well, we don't need Frimpong. I find that really weird when we have Connor Bradley, who is ready. Calvin Ramsey, who has some, catching up to do. Gomez, who can cover it right. But Bradley's got to be that guy. If Trent goes into midfield, Bradley has to be the right back. It's a no-brainer. He's come through our academy, shown he can do it, and is only going to get better. So I don't think we need Jeremy Frimpong one bit. Who do you want to see sold in the summer? In your opinion, Nunez, said Alf. For me, Mohamed Salah, for the reasons I've outlined numerous times. Costas Tsimikas, I don't think he's going to make it. I'd sell Curtis Jones because, again, I've seen more negative displays from him than positive. I'd move on some of the fringe players that we spoke about as well, the likes of your Nat Phillips, Reece Williams, some of those guys. I feel we'll end up having a goalkeeper sold. I hope it's not Alisson. Other than that, I wouldn't be really looking to make many more sales. You've got players naturally departing like Thiago and Matip and Adrian. You'll supplement those, I guess, with some younger players. But for me, those are the players that I would sell. I would give Darwin one more year, especially because it's a new coach coming in. But like I've always said, I understand all sides of that debate. I'm not going to judge anybody who thinks they should sell. For me, they're three players that I would sell. What time am I staying on till? I'm going to finish up in about 5 or 10 minutes, mate. Yeah, I was on since 6, so I'm going to finish up in a few minutes. And then I'll have a news video coming out at about 10, half 10 tonight as well, so keep an eye out for that. Again, though, before we get stuck into the last 10 minutes, I just want to remind you guys that you can come and see us live for the last time. You can get the tickets to Belfast, to Cardiff and to Liverpool via the link that is pinned to the top of the chat and in the description. The Cardiff and the Liverpool shows are August the 2nd in Cardiff and August the 4th in Liverpool. The Cardiff venue is the Richard Burton Theatre. It's amazing. I can't wait for that place. And then in Liverpool, we're playing at the Hot Water Comedy Club, which is a venue I've always loved. They've now redone and built a new venue, and we're going to be there as well. So you can get all of those tickets. The Cardiff show, the Liverpool show are all ages events, meaning it doesn't matter, you're all able to come along. The Belfast show, which is the 31st of this month, so just over 2 weeks to Belfast, so get your tickets for that if you haven't. You can get them on Ticketmaster, and also you can get them with the link there in the chat. Look at the debt them clubs are in. We'd be lost without VVD as captain, and led by example like scoring in finals. So, for me, let's break down your comment. VVD as a leader. I don't see it, mate, as a leader. I love him as a centre-back, and I'm in no way trying to say that I would like to see him rid of. And I'm not talking about wanting the armband taken off him as much as I don't like him as captain. It's just a personal thing. The clubs you're talking about in debt, absolutely. No doubt about that, mate. But we aren't in debt. And we turned over 100 million in profit, to the best of my knowledge. So we have the ability to spend without putting ourselves into a whole load of debt. And I just still feel our owners are cheap. But it's a valid point, Tony, you've raised about some of those other clubs and the way that they are in financial difficulties. And it's lovely not to be. So I get your point on that as well. And scoring in a final, yeah, okay, he scored a header in a final, but he also captained capitulations this season. So, you can't just highlight one good thing and then ignore the bad stuff. But then it's fair enough to ask me to not just look at the bad stuff and highlight the good stuff. It's just a personal thing with me, mate. I love Verge as a player, and I definitely feel like he's got a couple of years left minimum. I just don't like him personally as a captain. But he is the captain, and I don't see that changing. So that point, I guess, is a kind of a mute one on my point. Excuse me. Barry said, Craig, I don't think I've ever been in such a dilemma about one of ours, Ori Trent. Can't have him at right back anymore, but in midfield, will he work hard enough? He'll have to try and get his foot in more for the team, surely. Again, I think it's a valid concern. I certainly wouldn't be of the mind of selling him, partly because of his ability with the ball at his feet. But your concern about tackling, effort at times, it's a concern I've shared myself on occasion. But ultimately, this is going to sound weird when I say this, but again, my dumb ass doesn't know how to phrase it. I feel like he can do less damage defensively in midfield than at right back. And he can also have a very positive impact in midfield. But I think he needs to be part of a duo in midfield. There's no way I'm looking at Trent in a number 6. He needs to be part of a system that he's one of a dual midfield setup with some license to get forward, but also to spray those deep quarterback-like passes. I'm always concerned, though, that he's got a year to go in his contract and Real Madrid are sniffing around. His friendship with Bellingham also concerns me. So, yeah, the fact that we've got to this point with Trent, I find silly. But I do understand your concerns about where is best for him. Like, are we trying to find a place for him because we know what he can be capable of and because he's a Scouser and we like Trent? And I don't know if he wasn't Trent, if we'd be as understanding of the situation. It's a tough one. It is, but I certainly don't want to lose him. Hit an L, Craig, he would do less damage defensively in midfield. And it sounds tough when I say it that way, but I'm really, really frustrated with how many chances we're giving away down the right because of the system and the way our fullback goes upfield. Because it's great getting your fullbacks forward like that, but we give over possession and turn it over too cheaply. Case in point, their first goal last night. Again, exploited us down our side after we gave away possession, and we were left short, and we were left with a right-sided centre-back doing a right full-back's job, and he didn't block the cross and Villa scored. Who's the most hated club in England? Because people tell me all the time it's Liverpool. Honestly, there are a lot of people who don't like us. A lot of people that find Liverpool fans entitled, moaning. But I don't know the answer to your question, but there are certainly people who don't like Liverpool fans. I don't give a shit, to be honest. I love Liverpool fans, and I don't really care what other teams think about us, but I've certainly had many clubs, supporters who just don't like Liverpool. A lot of them because of the Scouse not English thing. A lot of them because of the national anthem thing. For me, as an Irish person, I'm very drawn to a lot of Scouse stances on things, especially anti-establishment. I can certainly sympathise in a big way on that. So, yeah, I don't know, mate. I don't know who it should be Manchester City, by the way. That should be the answer. No one likes us and we don't care. That's true as well. I certainly don't care. Like, I couldn't give a shite what opposition fans think of us. What are your thoughts as Trent as a 10? No, not for me. I'd rather him arriving late from midfield than playing just in behind a forward. No, not for me as a 10. I think if we have to play a 10 in the system, for me, I'd much prefer the likes of Elliott to operate as a 10. Right, my friends, I'm going to have to go. But I do appreciate you guys dropping in. Tomorrow, same time, we'll be doing the same again because United Newcastle's on tomorrow night. And most people are going to want to watch that. So we'll probably be live again at 6 o'clock tomorrow until 7:30. We'll have a news video coming out tonight at about 10:30. So keep an eye out for that. And again, don't forget, if you want to come to see us in Belfast, Cardiff or Liverpool, you can get the tickets with the link at the top of the chat. And again, shout out to Lineup Builder or friends. If you are looking to make your own lineups or be creative, look no further than our friends at Lineup Builder. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. Much love. Bye-bye.